Southern Africa's finest source of quality engineering components and expertise. BMG.
From Creamer Media in Johannesburg, this is the Real Economy Report. Our top stories this week. South Africa's Sumbandila satellite is now in orbit. Construction group Aveng sees 18% growth. And Sasol begins to perform innovative feats on the world stage. South Africa's homegrown microsatellite Sumbandila is now successfully in orbit, having been launched on a Russian Soyuz rocket. Keith Campbell reports.
Sumbandila is an Earth observation satellite. South Africa has been using imagery from foreign satellites for decades. So what difference will Sumbandila make? I put this question to South African Deputy Science and Technology Minister Derek Hanekom.
The difference is now we have our own satellite. We have our own satellite which we will operate from our own home ground, which means we have greater control. At the moment, departments are buying time, buying images from other satellites. Now this one will have a limited function. It is an Earth observation satellite, but it was designed in South Africa, manufactured in South Africa, will be tracked from the Satellite Application Center on our own home ground and will be operated. This is the first time that the Satellite Application Center will actually be operating a satellite. So it gives us control over the own satellite, what images are taken, how these images are used, etc. So it has huge significance in terms of us increasingly wanting to improve our planning tools through good solid information bases. But the other side of it is simply the enhancement and the showcasing of our own science and technology capabilities. The very fact, as I said before, that we were able to not only design it here, manufacture it here, do the testing in South Africa, and then finally do the operation, it demonstrates that we are certainly capable of playing amongst the world's best in the area of science and technology. And so, as you can see, we are recognizing our own capabilities and the importance of these space-related activities. So we're taking the program quite seriously, and while we're doing it, we are developing the human capital that can take us to those next levels. Some people are talking about developing our own launching capabilities. Well, it's something to be considered very carefully because that's very expensive. But the next satellites, that's almost a given. But time frames are not yet in place, but that is almost a given. This was a test, if you like, and we will certainly be putting more into orbit.
JSE-listed construction group Aveng has seen an 18% growth in its order book. However, this was not the only big number the company bandied around at its recent results presentation. Irma Fenter has the story after the break.
Southern Africa's finest source of quality engineering components and expertise. BMG.
When the going gets tough, cash ascends the throne, as many JSE-listed companies will profess. And with its cash position running into 7 digits, Aveng's construction royalty. CEO Roger Jardine explains what the company's bank account looks like.
Our unencumbered cash is at about 2.4 billion rand. We have some outflows planned for the year. Markets are still tight. Credit is tight, liquidity is tight. We think that for a company like Aveng to have cash resources to be able to take on large projects on our own without having to seek funding is a competitive advantage. We'd like to preserve that. So we think our strong balance sheet puts us in a position to grow our company defensively. And also, as the market stabilizes, valuations will return to sane levels. We can be more certain of companies that we target for acquisition. And we'll certainly be looking to further exploiting the infrastructure value chain.
Does being cash flush mean Aveng will actively look for acquisitions? Jardine confirms this is indeed the case.
We're starting to be a bit more proactive. I think everyone battened down the hatches and adopted a wait-and-see approach. But my view is we have to take our destiny in our own hands. There has been a criticism of Aveng that historically our margins were lower than our peers, which means we have more levers to pull to unlock value for shareholders, and we're focusing quite a bit on that.
The iconic South African company Sasol has successfully migrated its technology onto the world stage. Creamer Media's Martin Creamer.
South Africa's Sasol is a technology company that has surmounted all obstacles in migrating its South African-developed gas to clean diesel technology to Qatar in the Middle East, with Uzbekistan next. Pat Davies expands on the Oryx project in Qatar.
Oryx has been a huge opportunity for us because we've taken what we've so successfully done in South Africa and we've transplanted all those skills and that technology into another part of the world, and with a few minor teething problems out of the way, it's performing really well. So it's given us the confidence that we can do this in many parts of the world.
One has to distinguish between gas to liquids or GTL technology, which is clean, and coal to liquids or CTL technology, which is dirty.
GTL, which is our first offering in Qatar and places like that, is not a problem as far as carbon emission is concerned. It is in fact a little better than the normal crude refining route to get to transportation fuels. Coal to liquids uses coal, so alongside the rest of the coal industry, carbon emissions are an issue. Sasol is an innovative company. We have a lot of clever scientists and engineers, and I'm sure we're going to become a world leader in reducing carbon footprint on coal to liquids plants and facilities. And we're doing that by, first of all, improving our processes, reducing our energy efficiency. In fact, by 2030, we'll have reduced by 30% the carbon footprint of our new coal to liquids offerings. In parallel to that, we are studying and working with several people around the world on carbon capture and storage. And we're pretty reliant on that technology, which is a new technology becoming successful so that it can be used at scale, and that can be used to mitigate our carbon footprint as well. That and a number of other renewable or low carbon forms of energy we're looking at as well, to make sure that our value proposition for growth in the future, which is dependent on coal to liquids to an extent, that's not blunted in any way, that we grow because the world needs energy. Clearly, particularly the developing countries need energy, but of course that energy must be affordable, it must be sustainable, it must be done in a way that has less impact on the environment than the world has done so far. The main focus up until recently has in fact been on gas, with the work in Mozambique, Qatar, Uzbekistan now. But coal will also be there, we're quite sure. There will have to be quite a focus on coal going forward to ensure that the world, particularly the growing world, the developing world, is able to improve the quality of life by having affordable energy. Coal must play into that space. We play into that space. It provides a great opportunity for us, but of course it must be done in a responsible and sustainable way.
Sasol scientists and engineers are hard at work cleaning up coal's act.
Well, in Secunda, we've spent quite a lot of money putting in gas-driven turbo generators, and these clever boffins that you refer to are finding ways of extracting more waste gas, improving processes, so energy that would have normally been lost can be used now in the form of gas to supply into those gas turbo generators to generate electricity is one example. But on the longer term stuff, in terms of renewables, we have over 100 PhD scientists and engineers just in our technology division, and of course a number of those are working on things such as algaic forms of methanol production, where you get particular algae that can take CO2 and convert that into a form of fuel. Now this is long-term future stuff, but this is the type of thing that they're looking at. They're looking at using biomass to supplement our other feedstocks to convert that into transportation fuels as well. So there's a range, and we're not just doing this on our own, we're doing it in conjunction with a number of universities both in this country and around the world.
And now for a sneak preview of this week's Engineering News magazine. In our cover story, read how brewing giant SAB Miller is seeking to tap new markets, ingredients and supply chains with its homebrew alternative. Read about South African defence company BAE Systems Land Systems OMC facing the future with a range of new or improved products. And read about the state-owned Trans-Caledon Tunnel Authority wanting to raise about 44 billion rand to help fund new water infrastructure projects. And in Mining Weekly this week, read our cover story in which state-owned power utility Eskom claims that the electricity system is tight but manageable. We report that provisionally liquidated Pamodzi Gold's founder Ndaba Nsele has thrown in the towel. And Zimbabwe's Prime Minister Morgan Tsvangirai calls for a South African-style mining charter for his country. That's Creamer Media's Real Economy Report. Join us again next week for more news and insight into South Africa's real economy.
Engineering news, not just for engineers.